What was that, Reg? What were you saying?
I said, holy moly, guacamole, Sal Kalani, what in the flip Florida flip do you have growing on your face? Man, you look like you're back in middle school with that joint. It
See,
makes me,
dude, this is why podcast is supposed to be audio only.
you guys, everyone who's listening to this, I suggest you stop now, go straight to the video on YouTube at our channel at Spitballin with the apostrophe podcast, and you will see a massive
Oh
behemoth
my god.
growing on this man's face. It looks like you're going to a second head out the front of your face.
That's funny, dude. That's funny.
Dude, it like something is trying to escape from your face. Like it's bubbling up. It's bubbling
Dude,
up.
it got like a second life. Like it was going away last week.
Uh-huh.
And then, I had to film a game show yesterday. And it was like, oh, you going on national TV? Let's put in the work. And it just started to rise and get big. But
that joint is like, it wants to be immortalized. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's bad looking. Well, it's bad looking on here, but like
it's bad looking in real life too, I'm sure.
Well, this is what you do though. In the world of showbiz, they got professional makeup people who can make anything look good.
I know
and I mean, we'll see when it airs how it looks, but it looked good, I thought, in person.
Okay. Well, they must be able to do some magic.
They can, Reg. They could do movie magic.
Yeah, you have to do, because it's gonna take some David Copperfield to get that joint. It's gonna take what's the other, Chris Angel. You're gonna need to bring in Chris Angel to make
some Houdini
to make that joint disappear. Because I'm telling you right now, it's otherworldly.
It's not going. Yeah, it's not going away. I think it needs to get popped, but I don't. It's too painful. It's too.
You can't pop it. You can't pop it. Not now. Look at it. It's already inflamed.
I don't want to look at it anymore.
It's inflamed, bro. You can't.
Dermatologist steel.
Yo, should we tell people what time it is right now, or should we just?
Yeah, go ahead. It's 8 a.m.
It's 8 a.m. on Friday morning.
Yeah, Reggie's working now, and Thursday we couldn't do yesterday because I had a film.
Oh wait, let's talk. Should we get into that with the film?
Yeah, we could talk about it. I could only. There's stuff that's already released that I could mention. I can't mention what went down so much, but I can mention it's a game show coming out on Game Show Network called Tug of Words, hosted by Ahmad Rashad.
Really? Did you meet Ahmad Rashad?
Oh yeah, I had him cracking up, dude. And that was the best part about it, dude.
Yes, sir.
At one point, he just like put his head down on the table and was laughing, and I was
That's
like,
awesome.
That feels good, dude. Because he's been all around the world. And dude,
he was married to Ahmad Rashad. I mean, he was married to Felicia Rashad, and he's Michael Jordan's right hand man. Dude, you're like 1 degree separate. Oh yeah, he and Michael Jordan are like this.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, they're tight. They're thick as thieves.
He's the youngest 71-year-old I've ever seen, man. He's 71, and he doesn't look like he aged at all. Still rocking his earring. This voice is still smooth like butter. That voice, man, because I remember growing up on NBA Inside Stuff. Yeah, and he was 14 years. He did that.
Wow.
So he did that longer than his NFL career.
Oh, Ahmad Rashad played in the NFL.
You didn't know that? That's what you got to shut up. Oh my God, Reg. He got drafted by the Cardinals, but he played for the Minnesota Vikings and it was awesome. He just got accepted into their Ring of Honor. But yeah, dude, look at him for the Vikings, brah. That stash.
Wow, that stash is real too. Holy cow.
Yeah, he's
stash. Whew, that's a real mustache, but it ain't got nothing on that thing on your face. I'm telling you right
now. Yeah, he well, no, it's not zing, it's zit.
Yeah, zit.
No, dude, he's pretty cool.
So man, cool. So you can't tell us much about the game show except for
I had to leave. I had to wake up at 5 a.m.
Oh wow!
So you're exhausting, and then
sweating.
Yeah, man. And then we went to Sony, and then I was just tired. And a lot of times, like I've done one before. I did that common knowledge one we talked about, and you had to wait forever, and usually got to wait forever. And we were lucky. We didn't have to wait as long, but you still
Okay.
it was still like a good, 7 hours. So, man,
Wow. All right.
just
Well,
when he got back, I was just so exhausted and so hungry. And yeah, but it was fun, man. It was fun
it's fun.
times.
All right. Well, let's why don't you delve into what you can talk about as far as like
I
how
thought
you
I
got the
just
game
did.
show. Well, no. I mean, how did you get
Well,
on
because
the
I think
show?
I auditioned because because I did that Common Knowledge one, and it's still the same network. I would like in their network somehow. And so when I got the email, and then Destiny and I auditioned for it. So like the email asked an audition, I was like, yeah, we'll audition. And then we just auditioned on Zoom, and we were funny, and they liked us. And then yeah, but then it was kind of funny because like when you're there at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning, they're like, okay, let's see what you got. And like game shows, you kind of have to be a little zany. There has to be a little thing because it's real
Oh yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was kind of funny because they're like, oh, in the audition, like, oh, you guys are funny. We're like, oh, we're comics. We each had our own podcasts because we did one together. But then we're like, nah, it'd be better we just do it with our friends. So we had good laughs in the audition, right? And the guy's like, oh, that's great. You be comedy duos or podcasters. Then we get there, and all game shows are like this. Like, you can't say you're a performer at all. And
Oh
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you got to look like you're part of the people.
Yeah, you got like a normal
So
person. They're like, hey,
yeah,
look, here's a
so
normal person just like you who happens to be funny
yeah,
and
who's making
who's
Ahmad Rashad laugh his ass off?
exactly who's very comfortable in front of the camera because that's what normal people are,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Right. Who's very
Right.
comfortable asking questions and getting a response because that's
Yeah.
what
Then I will say, like, because not everybody gets on either, which is kind of sucks if you spend all that time. And then, but yeah, they were like in the beginning, our first little thing there, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to step it up a little there. You're gonna have to bring more energy and stuff.
they ask you to bring more energy for
Oh
real.
yeah, it's 7 in the morning. Well, this is just like you're just going with a couple of producers
Okay.
practicing,
Okay.
and yeah, dude. So you're like, oh, okay. So you just gotta, and then they said right afterwards, like, and just to remind you that some people aren't going to be able to get on today.
Oh
So I'm
my
like, they finally
goodness.
saw that, and like, and
Yeah.
then we're like wearing masks the whole time. So I was like, well, it doesn't matter. Once I remove my mask, they're like, oh my god, that zit on your face, you ain't going on at all.
They're like, we don't want to scare the people.
Yeah.
Talk about the
So
inside stuff, man. This is awesome. Seriously, because I didn't know that there was so much prep as far as like actual rehearsal of the actual game show
well, when
before.
it's a game you never played before or never seen before, it is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
Just so you
so, and
get
I
on
feel
the
like this, and this is a lot with words and stuff, and you can see online how the game works, but like it's one of those things because it's timed, so it's either you know it or you don't.
right
You know what I mean?
in the game.
And so if it's not coming and the time is coming, you blurt out whatever, get going. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And it's called Tug of Words.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And we can find out how to play it on where
it's funny.
YouTube.
Well, yeah, you just Google, you'll see there's a thing with a mod and them talking about it. But
So the show has been out to some degree, or no? Or is this
yeah,
actually
they
the
got
first?
it got long. Yeah, in the end of July they announced it, the press release and all that. But
Okay.
they just started filming it this week, and it's gonna be on Game Show Network. But I don't even have Game Show Network. I was looking through. I was
Yes.
like, and I didn't have it last time either. I did like a free trial for like a day just so I could watch it and record a little bits on my phone.
The
Yeah.
the beauty of doing something and not having access to it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, what the hell? So I definitely gonna have to see it somehow when it comes out, but I
Dude,
don't know.
there's things that I've done that I've never seen. Like I never saw my spot, my spot on Murder in the First. I did a movie called Love on the Line. That I never saw. I never
Was
saw
it
my
like a
part.
feature?
It's a feature-length film called Love on the Line. It was
Did
an
it get
independent film.
finished?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Okay.
I know people who saw it. I know people who saw it in the theaters and then contacted me and was like, yo, I saw you on the thing. And I was like, how did I do? Because I haven't seen it yet. They're like, oh, you were great, So
I never saw me in that movie that you and Diane Amos were in. You guys were mentioning. I mean, I only have like a half a second, but
Amos,
that's right.
because you got me last time.
Yeah, I didn't see.
I saw it. I saw you and Darius.
Did you? Oh yeah, okay, dude.
Yeah,
that little fucker. I got that dude the job. I'm like, yo, man, come do this. You get a little money. I get you in this. He goes, all right. Dude was like an hour late. I'm like, everyone's like, where'd you guys, Sal? I'm like, you asshole.
Oh man, that's the worst.
Yeah,
that's
when you like vouch for someone. Another time, that guy. I love Darius. We always, if people don't know him, he's a small little black comedian guy from Richmond, right? Like Richmond,
very talented dude, man. But
north of Oakland, Richmond. And but we would always bust balls, and we got along so well. And but so he he wanted to go up one time. I was booking the Sunday showcase, and Molly let me book it, and he was like, hey man, can I get up? I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll put my buddy up. And he went up there and did not do well. I was like, come on, man.
Sounds like he's burned you twice.
And he's burned me a few times, but I liked him, so I keep, and then another time I had him on my podcast, and we just did I wanted the idea of just talking about watching the entire Star Wars movie and commenting on it, right? So I had him on, and the first one, and we're talking, and in the middle of it, he's like never even really watched Star Wars. He like seen it a couple once or twice. So he had really nothing to contribute. Well, what is this? What is this guy? I'm like, the hell, bro?
Dude, at some point, it's no longer Darius's fault. At some point, you got to blame yourself, man. Look, I like Darius Monday. I like Darius. I think he's a very talented guy. He obviously wants to do film, direct.
I don't know what he wants to do. He's popping out kids left and right, ain't he?
Yeah. I think he lost focus, but he had a great eye for that stuff, man. He was in school for that. That's what his.
Oh, really? For film?
For film. That's what his main focus was. But sometimes people just sometimes can't get out of their own way, just in the sense of like you provide him an opportunity, but he shows up an hour late, and you go, come on, man, because those things will actually at some point, and I'm not just talking about for him, but just anybody, at some point those things will take precedence over your skill set or your talent, because people go, man, the guy's really talented, but I can't depend on him. There's another guy in the Bay that's kind of like that too, that I've heard. I actually don't even know why I even brought it up, because I'm not gonna say his name, but it's one of those situations. Actually, I can say this guy's name, because Chris Rock was talking about Patrice O'Neal was kind of the same way, and even some of his good friends would say that he would sometimes, it felt like he was like shooting himself in the foot, right, with these opportunities. Like everyone loved him, loved his talent, loved what he brought to the table, but they would set up meetings for him, they would put him in things. They give him opportunities, and the dude, he would either show up late, or he'd show up unprepared, or he just wouldn't show up, or he'd show up and be really difficult to work with. And so it got to a point where it's just like, I love the guy. I think he has a great thing, but he's not reliable. He's not dependable,
and that's really important in showbiz, because in the end, it's like, everybody's funny. You'll find somebody funny. You'll find, these guys are another level, but you'll still find someone. And it's important as someone who's easier to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you threw out a very important word that I like to explore. And that word is vouch.
Yeah.
Vouch.
Yeah.
Oh man, excuse me, my nose is killing me right now.
A little sinus problem there, Reg?
Dude, my allergies, man. I don't know what maybe
it's called karma for ripping on my zit.
That's funny. Karma. That's
smoke,
another interesting.
That was like that's in Sacramento, isn't it? Or is that
man, smoke goes wherever it wants to go, wherever the wind blows. So you mentioned another word, karma. That's a word that's been circulating in my life a little bit.
Oh, you gonna pull the crystals out?
No, I won't pull the crystals out this time. Although I do have them in my pocket. I don't think I don't. I keep mine with me. No, but I want to get back to that word vouch, because I remember the first time I was actually ever really tasked with the word vouch and what it really meant. And I don't know if we discussed this yet, but did we ever talk about
the improv guy?
The improv.
Oh yeah, we talked about it on here, I thought, but we're like because when Charlie Murphy passed, we talked about it.
Okay, yeah. But
yeah, I was gonna say that's because that guy was an ex-Marine. He thought he was a little hard ass, so he's like, "You gonna vouch for this guy?"
No, but that wasn't Jim Smith.
No, the other guy.
Yeah,
The other
Andy
guy was a
Kulik.
Marine. Yeah.
Andy, no, Jim Smith was the ex-Marine. Jim Smith was the ex-Marine.
Jim Smith
Andy
was in Nam. I thought Andy was a Marine for a minute.
Wait, was Andy a Marine?
I believe
Andy
he
might
was a
have been.
Marine.
I think he might have been. He might have been. But yo, when he threw that word vouch out there, like yo,
you got scared for a second.
Man, he's like, you vouching for him? And I was like, oh. I was like, hold up. I was like, hold up. Let me take a second. Let me think about this.
And I mean, to be fair, we're still pretty new. We were
absolutely.
But I remember, man, I drove down to San Jose for like an hour drive. It was just me in the car, and I was just going over my set over and over. It was like a 10-minute set. It was nothing anyway.
And you did well. You killed it.
And it was great. And it's 500 people. It was weird though. I do remember that was like the first big crowd I had, and with something like that, it's like you say the joke and then there's almost like a wave. Like you can't go too fast. You have to like let it and then let it come back in, which is very weird.
Yeah.
It's a little different. It's not as a little
different.
I don't think it's as I don't know. I mean, I haven't done enough huge. I've done a few huge theaters. I did one for the San Francisco competition. It was like 2,000 people. And I really didn't like it because there's only a spotlight on you. You couldn't see anybody. So if you got a laugh, you didn't even know. It's like you're talking to a black space, but there's 2,000 people out there and you have no idea.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, I did an outdoor show in San Jose for like this church thing. 10,000 people. Oof. I mean, I'm 10, on stage. 10,000. I'm on the stage, and I'm not joking. Remember how it was when we went to the inauguration, where it was like the stage is here, and then you got the jumbotrons set up at certain points.
Yeah,
dude, that's what it was like. I'm not exaggerating. There were like 3 jumbotrons set up, where it's like I'm on stage and I can see the back of one jumbotron, and then I can see the back of another jumbotron, and I can see the back of another jumbotron, and it's me. And I'm like, and you get to a point where you can't see people's faces way back there. So I can see the people in the front, right? And as a comic who's trying to connect with people, right? It was just like I had to take that moment, like you said. Like initially, I just came out like I was in a club, like, "Hey, how you guys doing?"
Right?
Like, wow, look at this. This is like, you throw out that joke, like, man, 10. They're obviously there for a religious event, so they're obviously there for God. Right, for Jesus. And I come out and I'm just like, man, I made it. Look at this.
How long did you have to do?
I did 15.
Were there other comics?
Nope.
Oof, that's weird,
dude. And that's why I only did it once.
Did they pay you at least? Did you get you should have sent a basket around.
I was
if everyone gave $1, you would have been
oh my goodness. Cheers, truly. Sitting around the tip bucket, like, give what you need. They'd be like, is this part of the religious timing?
Give to the Lord and his friend Reg.
Exactly. But it was I put like this, it was an experience. I wouldn't necessarily
it was a daytime
outdoors religious event. It was like some jamboree type thing in San Jose.
See, and that stuff's easy if there's music. The jamboree part, the musicians, it's easy. The comedy is not.
It's not
made for that.
No, and it's a religious event, so you got to be, you got to be clean.
Not fun. Yeah, and you got a bunch of tools, a bunch of squares,
and you got kids.
Right? Oh yeah, and that's
you got kids, so what, families. Wow. Yeah, what do you talk about? Traffic. You talk about traffic. Like, wow, what about that traffic? Oh boy. And, hey, what do you guys think about cars? You ever see a car? Oh my goodness. Cars or something, huh? Who made those things up?
Check out the sun. It's out.
The sun is out. Hey, you guys don't know this, but this shouldn't be happening in the daytime outside, right? So yeah, man, it was an experience. But I was gonna say, I just remember vouching for you, and in the end, I was like, I thought about, I was like, how much time was it, Sal? I was like, yeah. I mean, I felt proud when I was like, yeah, I vouched for him. I was like, that's my dude.
And at that point, we were already knocking out 30-minute sets at the clubhouse. And but see, this is the thing though. It never really even mattered then, because I worked there, but it was never because of Andy. It was like, I think after he left, I started getting more work through Jim. Right. So it was kind of like, It's so funny, like so much of this stuff, like and then once you do it, it doesn't even really matter that much. You know what I mean?
And that's, dude, that's the thing with this business, right?
Yeah.
That you don't know early, right? You like, we're literally, when you first get started, almost in anything, whatever it is you're doing, you feel like at that moment, the thing you're doing is absolutely the most important thing in the entire world, and it will make or break your career. Right? Like thinking, okay, this 10 minutes set for Charlie Murphy. All right, now if I do this, now this can catapult me. I'm gonna get my own TV show. I'm gonna be on television. I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna make a lot of money.
Nervously practicing the whole drive down, like, you know, it's a whole thing you put into it.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, I remember doing I had to open for the Oddball Festival in San Jose at Shoreline, and that was like really packed. I mean, I think there was like 20,000 people in the amphitheater, but for the opening thing, we did a side stage. And I mean, it's cool. I have a cool picture from outside. It's somebody sent me like 5 years after I did it that I didn't even know about. But it's like one of those like panoramics, and it's there's a whole crowd outside. It looks huge. It looks cool. And yeah, there was a jumbotron of you and stuff, but it's daytime. You're opening for a bigger show. It's just the sun. I remember the sun was right in her eyes, you know. And I mean, it's fine, you do it, but I will say this: it was crazy because there were so many people there that right after I got off stage, all my like social media was blowing up and stuff, because like people who I didn't even know were there were just, hey, I know you, and then putting the thing and sharing it. So that was cool. But yeah, it was crazy.
I did that one too. I did the Oddball Festival, same stage. I did it the one Shoreline. I did it, I think, the day before you, or we did it around the same time. But I think however many days it was, I did it a day or two before you. Same thing, man. But when I said I had a monster set, dude, that joint was bananas. I killed that joint, and then my social media blew up, and this was like, you know, beginning, like all of a sudden I just got a bunch of Twitter followers, and it was like my Facebook just started to blow up. And I remember one of the jokes I did, right? It was so this is right after the new Bay Bridge had been built, right? They were, so you had, at this, for people who don't live in this area, who aren't watching this, whatever, but from Oakland to San Francisco, you had the Bay Bridge. And that's the iconic bridge that collapsed during the '89 earthquake, pancaked on top of itself, right? So this bridge had been around for a long time, but what they did was, because there's a constant flow of traffic, when they decided to rebuild the bridge, they had to build the other bridge next to it. So at one point there were two bridges, right? So while people still driving on the old bridge while they're building the new bridge. And at that time there was a lot of jokes about, because it costs $6 to go across the big bridge now, and people would always joke about, why don't they just keep the old bridge up and you can just charge $1, and it's like drive at your own risk, right?
Eli had a joke like that, didn't he?
Eli had a joke like that,
like Mad Max.
Yeah, exactly. So I had this joke where I said, yo, man, I'm driving on that new Bay Bridge, and I got to tell you, driving on that bridge, I look over the other bridge and I'm like, ugh, I can't believe people drove on that thing. They need to tear that thing down. Like it was something along the lines of like being on the new bridge and looking at the old bridge and being like, oh my God, I can't believe they let people drive on that thing. It was whatever. But dude, I remember that day because it was just a great day. I ran into people that I hadn't seen for years. That's kind of my MO. I feel like I go somewhere and just will run into, like, I literally, no exaggeration, I ran into a guy that I went to high school with who just happened to be in the Bay Area on business and decided to go check it.
Yeah,
from Alabama. We went to high school. He shows up. I'm like, because when I got off stage, he comes to the back, but he couldn't get in because of security and stuff. And he was like, no, I know Reg. We went to high school together. And I look over and I'm like, yo, what's up, man? Like, he was like, yeah, man, I'm in town for a business thing. And I just decided to come check it out. And here you are. And I'm like, yeah, yo, so it was cool.
I remember, what do you need now?
I know you're not going to edit it out because everything I tell you to edit out, you never edit out. Edit out that joke that I just did.
No, it's because you don't have, you just made a reference to it.
Okay.
Good. Well,
Okay.
I had a joke I was gonna about that new Bay Bridge when it got, because then it was really pretty when they put all those lights on it on the side of the new one. And I had this bit, and I made it a meme. This is when I was I'll try memes, and but I remember it did well right when it started. But I was like, to me, the Bay Bridge is just the older, uglier sister who wasn't getting enough attention, so she decided to dress up like a skank.
Oh my goodness.
But, yeah.
I swear you be going hard. You be going hard. I mean, you literally just equated a bridge to the older, uglier sister who can't get enough attention, so she brings out the cleavage.
That's exactly what that Bay Bridge did. Because no one really knows those bridges were built. That and the Golden Gate were built at the same time. And the Bay Bridge was finished a few, I don't know, months, I want to say, before.
A year before.
Years. Was
Bay Bridge was built in 37, and the Golden Gate was in 30. I mean, Bay Bridge was in 36, and the Golden Gate was in 37.
See, so my accurate older sister reference is correct. I want to be historically correct when I make my jokes.
There you go.
They might be hard, but they're accurate.
So that bridge reminds me of the older, ugly. Your joke sounds like a Disney movie, right? Like the older sister who can't get a guy.
Yeah. Like Cinderella.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so they do that makeup, and then all of a sudden she's just like, oh, and they do this. Can we discuss this? Can we discuss women's accessories? Can we just get into that just for a second?
Go right ahead, Reg.
And for fear it sounded like a Chris Rock joke, but the high heels, you ain't that tall, right?
All right, because he's like who's the bigger liars, men or women? He's like what did he say? Is it men lie more, women?
But no, he goes like this. He goes, who's the biggest liar, men or women? And the crowd goes, women. Everybody's yelling, and he goes, men tell the most lies, women tell the biggest.
Yeah.
When a man lies, he's like, I was with Tom. When a woman lies, she's like, it's your baby.
And he's like, that's not your face. That's not your height.
Yeah, he goes, all that makeup on, you ain't that pretty. He said, them heels, you ain't that tall. That push-up bra, your titties ain't that big. He goes, you a lie. I'm like, yo, man, it's just, what I'm saying is that women have a lot of things at their disposal to make them look and appear. I'm not even gonna say better or worse. I'm just gonna say different. Right. If a dude, I'm telling you right now, if a dude came in with some shoes that lifted him up 2 or 3 inches, and then and got home and took off the lifts, and all of a sudden he goes from being taller than his date to shorter than his date, she'd be like, the hell is going on? What is this?
Like, I could have used like some cover up today before I did the podcast, but I'm like, nah, let Reg go raw. Let him just rip me up and rip on me and whatever.
Hey man, I'm just saying, it's like the kid said in your middle school. He said he's not about
high school.
Oh, high school. He's not about quantity. He's about quality. That's only, he has one zit on his face, folks. But the shucks, what's the word? But the quality of this, I mean, the magnitude of this, like, I'm seriously looking at him and I can't not see it. Like, I keep trying to look at his eyes. It's like a woman with cleavage, and you're like trying to keep your eyes up. That joint on his face is just, my eyes just keep getting drawn to it.
It's like a titty popped out of my face.
Oh man, but it happens.
Hey, so this is interesting. This just dropped, and they were looking for the Jeopardy host.
Oh yeah. I saw that. So they said 2 people. One, the actress from Blossom.
Yeah, and then this guy, producer, who's been doing it. He's the producer the whole time, which is like, okay, we've had all these people audition and try, and then you're just going to give it to this guy nobody knows behind the scenes, right? And he's well, I'm a big fan. Well, so today he's out. He dropped out because he was catching shit that when he was a producer on Price is Right and stuff, he was a real dick to people. And like one of the models was pregnant. He was a dick to her about it. And he had this reputation about being a dick. And then so you gotta be careful. He had a podcast, Reg, And in his podcast, they pulled this out this week, and this is what sent him. And in it, he made derogatory remarks about little people, Jews, people receiving unemployment benefits, and sexist comments about women. And he
Holy
repeatedly
cow.
used offensive language and disparaged women's bodies. And it was interesting too, because he was just, he had like two younger girls on. He's asking about their boobs, and then he is apologizing. He goes, "My attempts to be funny and provocative were not acceptable." And then he's stepping down. And but see, and first off, his name's Mike Richards, okay? And Michael Richards. I'm sick of it. The bottom line is people who aren't funny trying to be funny with their provocative and this and that, and that's a big problem. Well, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and the other problem is people who aren't funny and their idea of what's funny. That's the problem. It's one thing if you just try to be funny and it just doesn't hit, but it's another thing when you think that in order to be funny, you have to be edgy, right? Like you have to push the envelope. Like derogatory statements are supposed to be funny. Talking about whatever gender, race, like trying to pick on what he thinks, or what people think to be cliche points of view, right? Like right. So the problem isn't that he wasn't funny. It's one thing if he tries to be funny, he just isn't, and people go, yeah, he's not that funny. But it was his idea of what's funny. That's the problem.
But I think if you can make something very touchy or edgy or whatever you want to say, funny, like that's a lot of times the art to me. And but
it's got to be clever. It's got to be clever.
It's got to be clever though, but it's got to be smart. Like I've caught crap for a lot of jokes I've said, but then like when you got the whole room laughing, you know what I mean? And I'm not at a KKK rally. I've got people laughing that are educated people. And so then you're like, okay, well then it's good. And then the jokes we've been doing for years or for a long time. And then and then once in a while you have the one person who has a problem. Like I did,
it depends on who that one person is too, by the way, because you can have the whole room laughing, but if the head of HR at your corporate gig is sitting in the back like,
that's the thing. Yeah, right. See, but in a comedy club, it's different.
Right.
And like I had a joke that that always killed, and it was another bridge joke.
Okay.
And you might probably know it. It was based off an actual conversation that I had with Greg Edwards. Okay. Black comedian Greg Edwards, and I only say
comedian he's a black guy
who's black, but I say his race because it's part of the joke. And the joke was he was like when Planet of the Apes came out, he was he was complaining about like it's racist, and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, when they're all small, the chimpanzees are all cute and stuff, and then they grow up and they're big and scary. He's like, that's racist. And then my joke was like, well, that's not racist. I was like,
I know this.
I don't even really remember it.
I was like, give me one thing. If you said they were going across the
Golden Gate Bridge, heading to Marin, I was like, that's not racist. Now I'm like, now if they're going across the Bay Bridge, what did I even say, dude?
You said if they're going across the Bay Bridge, headed to Oakland to either get something to eat, something that was very
something like to go to Oakland to pick. Yeah, shit, I can't even remember it. I've said it so many times. I'm gonna look it up because I have to have it somewhere.
You weren't being racist. You were pointing out what actually would have been, not saying that is what it should have been.
Right, which is almost kind of a loophole, though. It would be like, but like, well, it would have been. Or another thing which I love about comedy, if you do it as the character, you get away with it more. But that wasn't me. That's my dad doing it on stage.
Hey, Christopher Titus. I love Christopher Titus for that. Christopher Titus establishes these great characters who get on stage and say some of the craziest shit you heard. I'm talking about when he does his dad says some crazy stuff, but we're watching it and the character is so established that when the character of his dad says those things, there is no offense. We don't feel offended. We just go, wow, your dad was a dick. Like your dad was kind of an ass. But Christopher Titus is the one saying it, obviously.
Right. And he's exposing it and he's making fun of that ignorance.
Exactly.
Which is what I always love. Like that's the whole basis of a lot of my comedy was like, oh, this ignorance I grew up and saw, and now I'm going to make fun of it. But sometimes you show it to people like, oh, that's messed up. But like, yo, this is what it was. I'm letting you know what's out there, man. This is real. You know what I mean? And I'm showing you what's wrong. I had another joke I used to do where, and it's funny, man. Like once I knew shit was funny, and I knew I was on the right side where I believed in something, I had no problem saying it. And I had a joke about my dad, and my dad would drop the N-bomb a lot, dude. But in the joke, I obviously didn't know that. Oh,
your dad dropped the N-bomb a lot.
He was something, yeah, dude. He would drop the N-bomb, bro. I'm surprised I'm not as racist. I'm not racist.
Man, so glad you got the hell out of Cleveland. Jeez. I didn't know your pops dropped the N-bomb like that, yo.
Oh, well, like a lot of times Cleveland very segregated, and the news would only show. The only time I see black people growing up were on the news in East Cleveland, and they're always like putting them in handcuffs,
probably on cops. Shit. Yeah, on cops in the news.
And so like, yeah, dude. And there's a whole nother thing with that, because my dad one time got held up by a couple of black guys, and I think that was the beginning. And he never even met a black person until he came to the United States. You know what I mean? There's a whole nother thing. But anyway, I had a joke about him saying something, and he was just watching the news, and he's like, oh, these lousy Negroes, they gotta do whatever they want. And I was like, Dad, that's not right. I was like, what if I called you a WAP? He's like, what? No, don't you use such terms? Don't you know it's offensive to demean someone because of the race?
Are you serious? The hypocrisy.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, he didn't really say that, but he did really get mad when I said WAP. Like, he got really mad. Like, you don't say that. And I was a kid. I was calling out hypocrisy as a kid, and I saw it.
And that's why I mess with you. Yeah, that's why I mess with you.
Just like when I see that. So then when I try and take that and take it to the liberal Bay Area, and then some little hipster don't even want to listen to the point of the joke, and they're like, oh, you're being racist. I'm like, well, dude, I'm fucking trying to make a point.
No, the point, the whole thing is, did you listen to the entire joke, or did you hear?
No one ever does. They hear one thing that triggers them, and then they're out.
They hear the buzzword, and then they stop listening.
And I do the buzzword because I want to get your attention.
Exactly. Man, I didn't know your pops was throwing it out there like that.
Well, I mean, it not like every other word, but I definitely would hear it, but it was only when shit's on TV, you know what I mean? Like not in front of people, not like,
so he had enough sense to not do it in front of people.
Oh, so no, I've seen him give money to people of color on the street and stuff, right. You know what I mean? Okay. And stuff, but it's like people always want to blame somebody. Someone always wants to be above another level.
Oh, absolutely. Like, can I address this really quickly? Can we address this? Man, I'm just gonna say it, man. White people, I hate using, like, I hate speaking in general terms, but this has happened so many times that I have to say something, right? I don't know how many people, I can't say I know how many people. I know a handful of people, of white people, who have had a negative experience with black people, right? Mm-hmm. On the city bus, dealing with someone saying some stuff to them, on the street, someone saying some stuff to them, someone breaks into their car, you know what I mean? Like, they see something happens, and those moments impact their perspective of all black people, right? They have one incident with a black person, and it's like, these people, and it turns into this thing where it's like, these people they're out of control, and it's everything. But all the shit that happens to everyone else, right? The moment that a white person does something, then it's kind of like, well, that's not all white people. That's just that guy.
Well, I think part of the problem too is, besides just straight up racism, is black people only make up 12% of the population. So if it happens, it's more or less likely you're going to have more positive experiences because you don't see enough people. You know what I mean? If if you're segregated and you're only bland, you only see this person, group of people. A small sample but it's stupid. It's also just people looking different and then just trying to blame someone else.
Yeah, well, everyone wants to blame someone else for their condition, right? If it wasn't for them, I'd be this, I'd be that. But
and I even feel my dad being an immigrant coming straight here as a teenager, couldn't speak the language, got made fun of the whole time. And then like, you're like, and I always feel like people want to be above a different level. Like, oh, and you know, like I can't be associated with that group of people because then I'm going to be picked on or, you know, deemed like discriminated against like they are, or you know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, a lot of people I feel yeah, it's silly.
It just sucks. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it just sucks, dude, because how many people think about it? If every time something happened to you, if something negative happened to you, and depending on the race of the person, you decided to hate that entire race,
Right.
You hate everybody.
Right.
You get cut off in traffic by a Latin person, you're like, oh, they're fuck Latins, right? Or you know, an Asian person's not nice to you at the convenience store or whatever, or in the street or in the neighborhood, and all of a sudden you just write off all Asians. A white guy doesn't give you the job, man, fuck white people.
Right.
A black dude steps on your shoes, man, fuck. Like you literally just be walking through the street by yourself. Like I can't like anybody.
Right. Well, yeah.
Somebody in every race has done something to me, and so all of the people are bad. So I gotta be by myself. This is my bubble. Stay away from me, everybody. It's like, yo, man, it's an incident with one person.
Right.
If you don't like somebody, don't dislike the whole race. Just dislike the person that did the thing, and that's it.
That's what I love about San Francisco. It was just so many groups of people that you got to be exposed to all different types. And yeah, if you had one problem with this person, but then you'll see someone you don't have a problem with, you know, it's just people. It's not a certain group. I remember, this is kind of funny. Like, remember Ali Mafi, gay Muslim comedian in San Francisco. And he was on stage at the clubhouse once in the small room, the tiny room upstairs. And we were doing a show, and there was like this Russian guy and his lady got up and went to the bathroom or something. And, you know, Ali liked to make reference jokes, and he called her like a whore or something. and he was like, oh, and this big Russian dude took a beer bottle and threw it at him.
Oh yeah.
And he missed him, and it went over his head, and then he got up to get right into to attack him, and I got up and I just stood between them, and I was like, no, dude, stop. I was like, no. And that part of me was like, this dude's fucking huge, he could walk right through me if he wants. But I was like, I defend comedians and to the end, man, because it's like, he's just, you know, he's not saying anything. He's being like stupid, but he's not being hateful. He's just trying to be funny. And I was like, no, dude, you don't need to fucking attack the guy. And the dude, he settled down. And then I'm on stage later, and he's got all this problem with the gay people. And it was like Pride Week. And I was like, look, he's like, oh, this guy was an asshole. I was like, okay, there was one asshole you dealt with in the gay community. That doesn't mean they're all assholes. You know what I mean? You don't have to just, you know, stereotype a whole group.
Yeah. It's not a monolithic society where everyone just want the same thing. But in that situation, Ali was wrong, right? In the sense of it was a he doesn't know her.
Man, whore is a strong word.
It's a strong word, right? Like you can't just call a person who's at the show who gets up to go use the restroom. You can't call someone that, right? That's inappropriate. That's not even acceptable. That's not called for. Now, if he wants to joke about the timing, if he wants to talk about where she's going, like, oh, someone's going to the back. Looks like, are you going number one or number two? Like you joke about the situation, but you don't joke about the actual, like, you know, someone gets up, you're not gonna be like, oh, look at this fat piece of shit, right? People be like, what the, why would that even be deemed funny? Right? Just to call somebody out, like to just say that about somebody, like, oh, this dude can't dress for now. If you talk about a particular piece of clothing, like I've done, I'm like, oh man, that's a nice shirt. With the bargain bin basement sale, like, they must have been giving those shirts away for free, right? Oh man, come on. No, I'm joking, man. Nice shirt, right? You say something and you joke about a thing, but you don't joke about the act, like the person. That's just that's too much. So Ali, and based on what Ali Mafi looks like and how he carries himself, the last thing he needs to be doing is offending anybody where he has to get into a fight, because it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. It's not gonna be good for Ali Mafia.
I always got to remind him, yo, man, I saved your life one time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, dude, you are not a fighter. No, but that's the beauty. Like, that's the funny part for me about comedians too, is that there are things that comedians will say on stage with a microphone on stage in front of a room full of people that they would never say in real life out in the, like, you take away the mic, you take away the stage, the audience, the bouncers, the security, you take that away and you put that dude on the street and let him say some of that shit, there'd be a plethora of like dead comedians. Like it would just be comedians.
It could be a dangerous job at times. Like I remember I did a joke. I was in like, or was it? I was in Akron. It was like close to Akron, but I was doing this club in Ohio, and it was more like the B or C room, right? Okay. And I was talking about being from San Francisco at the time, and the guy was like calling me gay right in the front. It's just so hack and stupid. And what are we in third grade? It's so dumb.
He knows one thing. He knows one thing.
It's so dumb. So I was like ripping on this guy. He was getting mad, dude. He's getting really mad. But I was getting them good. And then when people laugh at you more, they get even angrier, right? And but then I remember like getting off, and I'm near the bouncer and I'm trying to hawk my shit. I'm like, hey, watch this guy coming up here, dude. I was like, bro, watch this guy, dude. This dude might. And then he definitely gave me a stare like his whole walk out. Like, my dude, but you're right, dude. Like, sometimes, and when a show is not policed, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother story. That's equivalent to a person knowing one aspect about a city and just going in on that, right? Yeah, I live in San Francisco. Oh, you're gay. You're gay. That'd be equivalent to someone being like, yeah, man, I live in Oakland, California. Hey, what's up, Baywatch? Hey, you're like, no, that's not even close to being the same. Baywatch, who are you, David Hasselhoff? So you got one TV that plays one show, huh? Yeah. That's all you know, right? Ignorance. Hey, you know Pamela Anderson? Like, dude, I live in Oakland. There's nothing about Baywatch that's even close to being Oakland, right? Like, dude, get out of here. But that's what happens. You get into the Midwest and you get into these other little states, and you get outside of California, man, and people only know what they've seen on TV or what they've heard. The one thing that sticks out in their head, that's all it is. And I can speak from that because I grew up in Alabama, and I'm telling you right now that I thought that California, the whole state from the bottom to the top, was LA.
Oh, we all do. Totally. Yeah. Like every time I watch football, and then the afternoon games was in San Francisco. I'm like, God, it's so sunny and bright and warm there all the time. Now realizing that's Candlestick, the only area that happens during that time of year.
It's got like a hole in the clouds where just the sun comes down. It's like outside of that is doom and gloom. It's just gray and foggy. So yeah, man, that's funny. You get outside of here and you kind of hear what you can hear. In the way that people express themselves, you can see what they know. Like you know what I mean? Like you can understand what they're exposed to or their level of exposure.
And I even feel it's not even by state. Like I had the old joke. I was like, in California, everyone thinks it's so liberal, but I'm like, if you go outside the cities, you go outside of SF or LA, it's just as redneck as the rest of the country. I was like, they'll have to call it Calabama.
Hey man, Calabama. I remember that.
And I remember learning that. Like when I go out of the city to do gigs, and you're like, God damn, this is just like Ohio.
Hey man, yeah, I tell you right now, I'm like, you leave the Bay, same exactly what you just said. You go 40 minutes. 40 minutes outside the Bay.
You don't have to go far.
You ain't gotta go far. You see all type of Trump supporters and red, just dude, you'll encounter some backwards ass shit for real.
One time I was looking, my computer had a screensaver, and there was these beautiful pictures, and one of them was Bernie Falls, California, which is this really cool looking waterfall that just trickling down rocks and stuff. And I was like, hey, we should go there one weekend. So I went with my buddies Joe and Monad at the time, and then we drove up there, and it's near Reading, so it's like good 4 hours. It's way up there, dude.
Yeah, you get up there,
bro. So we get up there, we go into a bar, and I'm telling you, man, I go to the bar. There's all these like old looking white dudes. All look like right when you walk in, and I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. Like, and I was only new, but I was like, man, I'm glad I'm white right now. Like, it definitely because they were all old white looking men, and like, what you want? And I'm like, we just came to get a drink. And the guy goes, you want a drink? You gotta tell us a joke. And
Oh
Buck and Joe and
man.
Mona are like, well, you want to be a comedian, Sal? Go ahead.
Oh wow. They put you on the
And
spot.
they put
Nice.
me on the spot, and I just did some old bar joke I knew, old street
Okay.
joke, and it killed. And then we got our drink. But I
Nice.
mean, like,
remember you and I went to, was it Weaverville? Not Weaverville.
oh
Where were we
yeah,
at?
somewhere up north. Yeah, with that
Like
guy.
Hillsburg. Before the show, we're sitting over to the side, and this is why, as a comedian, I never want to sit in the showcase room or in the showroom before the show with the people, because then they have access to you. Like I like to stand outside, or you guys sit somewhere in the back or in a different place. But Sal and I are at this show. I think it's Hillsburg, which isn't that far from here, and we're just sitting over to the side, and this guy comes over to us, young guy. He comes up, he goes, he looks at Sal and I, and he looks at Sal, and he looks at me, and he goes, "You're the comedian, right?" I can tell. I'm like, we gave it away. The complexion, right? Because there's no black people. There were no black people at all. He was like, I just, I could just tell. That's all. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
okay.
also say he's like, we don't get many of.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Here.
Yeah, we don't get many of comedians.
You.
We don't get many of you comedians around here. It's like, yo, watch it, buddy. You close. You right there. You on the edge. You about to say some dumb shit. And then remember, I went up, when I got up, he sat right in the front row, and I told that story, like about him coming up and pointing out that I was the comedian because, we don't get many of you.
Right.
And the dude was just sitting there like,
yeah.
He's like,
see,
yeah,
and that
was me. Thing. I said it. I said it.
Because sometimes there's like a fine line. Like he wasn't trying to be hateful. He's just ignorant.
He's just ignorant.
And there's just that, he didn't have enough exposure or experience in life to other things,
right.
I guess.
Right. To understand groups. That you don't do that, right? Like you don't,
right.
It's like that Joe Klosick joke, right? I don't know if you remember this one, the Joe Klosick joke. Joe Klosick, a longtime San Francisco-based comedian, very funny guy, has been around for many years and just has a plethora of material and can talk about anything on pretty much any level. He's a great guy. But he has this one joke where he's like, when you travel outside of California, he's like, I'm in wherever, and he's at a bar and the guy comes up and he goes, I can always tell when black people around. And he goes, yeah, because they're black, right? Like, what's to tell? Right? It's pretty straightforward, right? I can always tell. Like I feel like that dude walks into a room, is empty, and he's like, yep, there've been black people here. he's like, it was 3 of them. One was tall, one was short, and one was middle size. It's like, dude, get out of here. Yo, man.
I remember Burr had a great joke about that where he did a show, and then afterwards the guy came up and he's like, I'm a racist, but you ever, and he like looked around and he's like, oh no, yeah. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
And he's like, he went all in. He threw the ER. He threw it hard. Man.
They always look around first before they say, either they try to, they always preface it, right? Like that's the
whenever they preface it, I'm not, and then they say, but that conjunction, that and but, it's coming.
Yeah. Hey, I'm no racist.
But
and they do this joint. As soon as you see that, some racist shit is about to happen.
It's coming in, dude. But
like, I don't have an issue with Asian people. But
storm down the hatches. Here it comes. A big racist tidal wave.
Exactly. I don't have a problem with black people, but there was this one time you're like, oh my goodness.
Right. And they take that one time to mean everything. And it's so stupid.
It's so
man.
stupid. It's so stupid. Dude, okay, we're gonna have to wrap up, man.
Because we got a good hour, and that was a good hour. So, I'm a little jazzed up drinking my coffee while we do it. It's not bad.
Awesome. I feel like the further along we got out, the more you woke up. I feel like you were like,
I did. My eyes are way more open now. My zit was pulling my eyes closed, but now they're opening.
So I'm just gonna throw this out here real quick. One, Draymond Green has a show called Chips on YouTube, where he interviews players that have a chip on their shoulder.
He's not a good interviewer, by the way. It's like, the donkey from Shrek, just tries to
he
get
just
through
doesn't
sentences.
Yeah, he doesn't speak very well. Like he's not
No,
very,
not
I
for
mean,
that kind of job.
well, no, I don't want to say he doesn't speak well. He speaks well, like you can understand what he's saying. It's just that his voice, he doesn't have a
He's
great
got a
voice
funny
for
voice for
he doesn't have a great voice for an interview. I think you have a great voice. You have a
thanks,
great
bro.
radio voice, but
A
his
great
voice isn't
radio
very
face.
good.
I know, Reg. Great face for radio, but
especially
not
with
here anymore.
especially with that mountain on your face.
What? You can't see it.
There you go. But he talked to Kevin Durant, who, they both, he's talking about talking to players who have chips on their shoulders. And you being a guy who has a chip on his shoulder, I thought that, you might enjoy.
I watched just the big part where he was talking about when he came to the Golden State. I had no problem with it. And but it was funny, or him leaving. And it was funny to me. Draymond was like, they're all blaming like the coach and the brass and the staff, but it's not me, it's them. You're all gonna fuck this up. I'm like, I don't know, Draymond, you fucked a lot up.
Exactly. And that's all I wanted to address. I wanted to address them addressing the fact, because he says, how much of the argument, how much role did the argument that you and I had against the Clippers play in ultimately you deciding to leave the Warriors, right? And they went into, Steve Kerr tried to act like it didn't happen, and Bob Myers and this, that, and the other, and they were just gonna discipline you and whatever else. And I went to them and I was like, yo, you guys are gonna fuck this up, and and I was like, yo, and I give KD credit because he said watching The Last Dance, he's like, when Scottie Pippen did his thing, he's like, we go into the locker room and the whole team was like, yo, man, that was fucked up. In essence, what he was saying was that the whole team should have rallied behind him and been like, yo, Draymond, you was fucked up, right? And that's what should have happened. And the other thing that should have happened was Draymond should have said, and this is what I wanted to see in that interview, was for Draymond to take ownership and be like, hey, look, man, you know what? In the heat of the moment, and at that time, what was going on, I let my emotions get the best of me. And there's no way that I should have ever disrespected you like that on the biggest stage in front of the world, where it's been captured on TV, and I'm talking to you like you're a kid. I apologize. I was wrong. Because in that moment, because that's really what it was about, right? It was about Draymond. Because I remember watching that, and I was like, yo, man, if KD is gonna be the man, right? There's a certain level of respect that your teammates have to have for you, right? Even if they want to come at your neck about something, you don't do it on national TV on the court in front of the world. You don't berate that dude like that, right? Because at that point, that guy has to, one or two things has to happen, right? Either KD has to come back at him hard, and I'm talking about to the point where they sit that dude down, or he got to punch him in the, it's something that's got to happen where it's like, yo, man, I'm the man, and you can have a problem with me, but we keep this in-house. We do it in the locker room. We do it privately. You don't ever berate me. You don't ever disrespect me. You don't ever belittle me in front of the world, right? Because that's just not going to fly.
And he definitely didn't seem like he took ownership for it at all in that
interview. He didn't. He was like, I felt like they didn't take, they tried to do, they didn't let, it's like, yo, me and Kate, it's like, yo, dude, that was his opportunity at that point to own it and to apologize for it. Now he can, once he apologized for it, then he can say, you and I talked about it. Even if he said he apologized, you and I talked about it. I apologize for the role that I played and that I was out of line for that. And then I thought that Steve Kerr and Bob Myers, then you can say, how they handled it afterwards. I felt like that was inappropriate, but you and I had discussed it, and maybe we talked about it in front of the team and whatever the case may be. Because honestly, can you imagine if a player undressed LeBron on the sideline during a game? Dude, if J.R. Smith came up to LeBron and was like, oh my God, people were like, what the fuck is going on? Right? So I thought overall, I thought the interview was good. I thought KD had some good answers. It actually made me respect him a little bit more. But I felt like that part right there, the interview, I felt like they totally dropped the ball, and I thought they could have went a little deeper with it.
I'll say this one thing about KD, because we shit on him a lot. But when I was in NBA 2K16, directed by Spike Lee, no big deal. But they were
name dropper.
Yeah, they were scanning our faces for one part. Like I had to go in a separate time, and the guy scans all the NBA guys, and he was talking to me about it. And he actually, LeBron, and then if LeBron doesn't do it, the rest of the team doesn't do it. So he wasn't a big fan of how much control LeBron has over his own thing. But he said Durant came in and did it. And he said like a month later, he was like in Vegas, and Durant came into the hotel, and he was in the lobby, and he was walking by and all these people around him. He's like, oh, what's up? And then Durant went all the way out of the lobby into this hallway with these glass doors, stopped, looked, saw this guy, came back and went in and just like, hey man, how's it going? And like gave this dude that respect, and that he didn't even need to talk to. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool move.
Well, and look, I do not have a problem with Kevin Durant as a person. I think he's actually a good guy, right? I think he comes from I think his intentions are good. Now personally, I don't necessarily like how he handles some things, but in that interview, he addressed his treatment, the burner account, and his treatment of the media to some degree, and then some of his personal growth. You got to watch the whole thing. Some of that stuff, I was like, okay, I can get with it. And it's just like anybody you meet in life. Some people you click with and you like how they do things, and some people you don't. Right. Personally, I think talent-wise, skill level, I think that dude is phenomenal. I respect his game on a whole. Like what he's capable of on a basketball court is truly amazing at 7 feet. The handles, the shot, like the level of play, the elevate. I mean, he calls himself easy money sniper. The dude he's a killer for real. He is. But it's just sometimes his approach to things don't necessarily align with the way I would do things. But hey, look, we're all different, right? So, but that interview definitely gave me some insight into him a little bit more, and it gave me a little bit more respect for him and his process, right? And a little bit more understanding of his process. So
it's funny. It made him look better than Draymond.
Than Draymond. Well, between the two, it does. Draymond is, Draymond's not a Hall of Famer, right? No. He's not a Hall of Famer. Draymond is just a guy who honestly is playing above his head. He's 6'6". He plays bigger than what he is. He's playing in the right system. He's in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, which I give him a lot of credit, because it's hard to get into the league. It takes a lot of work, a lot of energy and effort. And to get into the league is one thing, and to stay in the league is another thing. And to be able to perform the way he does, I give him all the credit in the world. The dude is legit, but he's not a Hall of Famer. KD is a Hall of Famer. Easy, right? So no question about it. So between the two, the only person who's going to look good in that whole thing is KD, right? So that one. The other one is, and we can end it, is I watched the Masters of the Universe, the animated series.
The whole thing?
I watched the whole thing, and I got to tell you, I love the animation. I love the storyline. I love the way the story played out, which caught me off guard. I was not ready for that. I would highly recommend it as an animated series, because I had recently watched one of the old episodes that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
Terrible. I mean, the storylines, awful. Like like watching it, I was like, I obviously was a dumb kid to be able to watch that shit.
All kids, you're right, because as a kid, I thought it was amazing. And then like you go back, you're like, this does not hold up at all.
This does not hold up at all. I'm like, yo, there's no character development, there's no dialogue, there's no continuity, there's no real story here. It's just people running around, bumping into each other, and then it's over. Right. And then at one point he goes, Masters of the Universe. And then he goes, he hits, and you're like, it's so good, yeah. But the second coming, dude, it was good, man. It was legit.
It's good. More. Kevin Smith did a good job, and there's gonna be a second part. We don't know when, and he, I hope he keeps doing it, because And then it's also cool because like any toy or all the characters, he just gets cameos by all the people. Like when you're a kid, you never got to see any of these other characters.
Exactly. You only got to see them every once in a while.
Yeah, right? And they barely did what you wanted. And now it's so cool.
Yeah, like now they're fully developed characters that have.
It's that. Well, we could talk about it another time. But that what's his name? Scareglow. That was the guy that he sees in the other world, like the skeleton that glows.
Oh yeah.
That was a very rare toy. I didn't even realize that never
Yeah.
made it to animation. And they're like, but so Kevin Smith likes to do all these little,
Yeah, it's like little hat nods,
little Easter eggs.
The Easter eggs. So
yeah.
All right, man.
Man. Sign us out, Reg.
All right. Want to say today, this was episode 21.
Yeah, dude. That's
episode 21, Spitballin. Thank you guys for joining us. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about it. That's Sal Kalani. I'm Reggie Steele. And this has been Spitballin. We'll see you next time. Peace.